Is Congress just another bunch of liars? Do they tell us one thing but yet do something else? Does the Biden administration say one thing just to get our vote and then they do something entirely different? Well, we have a little bit of updates on that, so I will get to that in just a minute. But first, over the past week, we have gotten 10 new lawmakers that now support the fourth stimulus check. There are more people every single day coming out in favor of these checks, and it's really simple as to why. These checks have been proven to work. These checks did their job. They provided for the American people. They helped prop up the economy and everything in between. So right now, a fourth stimulus check, according to some, is a high priority. However, for the Biden administration, it is not on their priority list. Infrastructure is the most critical piece of just anything that the Biden administration can do at this time. That is what they're looking at. But according to some reports, a fourth stimulus check or a fourth direct payment to the American people is needed, and some say a fifth stimulus check would be considered as well. Here's what we know. As of today, multiple lawmakers are pushing for that fourth stimulus check. Now, as of today, more lawmakers are coming out in favor of a fourth check, but they're not coming out in favor of $2,000. Reports indicate that $2,000 is actually seen as too expensive. So because of that, the chances of that happening are very small. What I can tell you, at this time, we're not hearing a lot of discussions on recurring stimulus checks. That's not what's getting the most kind of talks and discussions and insight. Nobody is shying away from recurring checks, but the problem there is it's too expensive. Here's what many lawmakers are pushing for now. Many lawmakers want to see the fourth stimulus check get passed, and it's going to be somewhere around the $1,000 mark, according to reports. Now, after that, they don't want to see recurring payments. What they want to see is that the fifth stimulus check is tied to the economic conditions, that there are triggers. There's automatic triggers built in to the Build Back Better plan or the social infrastructure plan where, okay, if we hit these triggers, then yes, the fourth stimulus check that already got paid out, it will then trigger the fifth check. And once that fifth one comes out, then that is where we will see nothing. There will be no additional checks at that time. And the reason why some are saying that this is most likely going to happen, again, I'm just trying to tell you what is being talked about in the news, in the media, and what lawmakers are discussing. Right now, there's no guarantee a stimulus check is even going to come out. There's honestly no guarantee an infrastructure package even gets passed. There's no guarantees when it comes to the United States government. There's absolutely no guarantees. But what we know is if the fifth stimulus check is tied to economic conditions, and this is something that the Problem Solvers Caucus tried to get the government or Congress to do back in September, and they completely ignored it. This would have been a huge, huge piece of legislation because it would have kicked in already. And it would have provided a third check, would have provided a fourth check, right? But on top of that, it would have provided stability to the economy and to the American people. So here's what we know. The economic conditions would mean that it would go along with unemployment rates, go along with economic growth, CPI, and other data, and all that would be factored into in deciding how much additional stimulus or when those payments would be sent out, and at pretty much what date. And so that's something that lawmakers are pushing for, is they want to see whatever stimulus, whatever relief is in this next package, it must be tied to economic conditions. Because as of right now, Republicans say we can't do that because the economy is getting better. And Democrats say, yes, we can do this. Even though the economy is getting better, what if it turns? Well, the what ifs, we can't run a country by dealing with what ifs unless we deal with automatic triggers. And that's where lawmakers are currently pushing. So we will see what happens there. We also know now that we are getting a push from the House Ways and Means Committee, and this actually happened last week. This actually happened on Monday, where they sent a letter to President Biden urging him for recurring stimulus payments. Now, what we know at this time is this will most likely make Nancy Pelosi come out either in favor or against a stimulus check. Now, we don't know if she will come out and address this, but chances are she will at some point. So if you want to see a stimulus check, what you want Nancy Pelosi to come out and support this and say that, yes, we are working through this. The committees are dealing with this. The House Ways and Means Committee is dealing with different things. They're going to put out a proposal very soon. That would all be very good for stimulus checks. However, if Nancy Pelosi comes out and just flat out denies it and says, no, I oppose this, we don't need it, then obviously that's not good. But here's the most likely scenario at this point, according to reports, is that Nancy Pelosi will most likely come out and put this on Congress and on President Biden himself. And then, just so that you're aware, if this happens, take what she says as pretty much, no, I'm against an additional stimulus check. So, just want to be 100% clear. Now that the House Ways and Means Committee is coming out in favor of recurring checks, let's hear what Nancy Pelosi says, because she has the power to put stuff on the floor in the House at this time. So, as we know more there, I promise I will fill you in on those details as well. Now, again, I don't want to be the naysayer. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here and say that this isn't going to happen. But I just want to be 100% clear that there's a chance an additional stimulus check happens, but there's also a chance that it doesn't. So just keep that in mind. There's a chance it can go both ways. So honestly, right now, just think of this as it's 50-50. If we get an additional stimulus check, great. If not, well, we knew this is the United States government and they lie to us all the time. But speaking of lies, here's something. I addressed this earlier on today. I addressed student loan forgiveness and I addressed Social Security recipients and that $200 per month boost. Well, after I published that video this morning, if you didn't get a chance to go and see that, I'll put a link to that. There'll be the first link in the description box below. But what I talked about was why we're not seeing this, what we could potentially see in the talks that are kind of moving forward. Well, after I published that video, President Biden came out and he talked about, or actually he released his annual budget. And then he gave a statement. Well, what we know right now, because we have some news on the student loan forgiveness, and this kind of ties into Social Security benefits and the $200 per month boost that President Biden promised when he was running for president. What we know is that as of right now, President Biden did not include anything for student loan forgiveness in his annual budget. There was nothing in there. From the reports that came out recently, what we know is that President Biden, as of right now, does not know if he has the power to legally forgive student loan debt. He doesn't know if he can do that through an executive order. Right now, some believe that it has to go through Congress in order to pass. So, what I can tell you is that Congress is still looking into this. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are the ones kind of leading this charge and this push. But this doesn't mean we're out of the woods. This doesn't mean this isn't going to happen. This doesn't mean that it will happen. What I want to address is what we know at this time. President Biden promised $10,000 or up to $10,000 in student loan forgiveness when he was running for president. Okay, perfect. The problem is he was also promising $200 per month for Social Security beneficiaries. Now, that's not a problem. The problem is that did he lie again? He lied. And this is exactly what many of you said this morning after I did the video this morning and in the comments. Is President Biden just lied? He lied his way into office. Well, he's a politician. Of course he did, right? Of course he did. But here's what we know. We know that many lawmakers said that President Biden cannot pass student loan forgiveness and not provide that $200 per month boost to Social Security recipients. Since both of these were campaign promises, they say if you pass one, you have to pass both. That is what they're saying, because they were campaign promises. You can't just pass one because then it alienates the others. You can't pass the other one because it alienates those as well. So you have to pass both or don't pass them at all. Well, this is exactly what I said this morning. And then obviously President Biden came out with his annual budget. But what we know right now, if there is no student debt forgiveness, chances are there will be no Social Security boost of $200 per month. But, I just want those out there, but according to reports, that does not mean there will be nothing. We could see, okay, just give you an idea, and this is just what the reports are saying. This doesn't mean this is going to happen for sure. This is just what they are saying. We could see student loan payments go interest-free even longer. That's an option. We could see an extension of payment suspensions, so you don't have to make a payment to your student loan for X amount more months, right? That's another option. They say we could even see additional tax credits for Social Security recipients, or something else entirely, something that Congress just kind of throws together and something new, some new idea. That's something that reports indicate could happen as well. But they say if President Biden cannot fully commit to those two promises, then he will not pass either one, and he will urge Congress to not include either one. So again, that's just a report, but as we get more information there, I promise I will let you know. Now, one thing that President Biden did say today is that he doesn't support progressive student loan forgiveness. Key word is progressive. Progressive student loan forgiveness. So that just tells me he doesn't support the high amount that progressives are actually pushing for, because they want to see $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. Now, being that President Biden doesn't support this, I expect he doesn't support other high-figure proposals they are pushing as well. This means the $2,000 per month stimulus checks, I don't think he is pushing for this. And you got to keep in mind, Vice President Kamala Harris was one of the initial lawmakers that proposed the $2,000 per month stimulus checks for the entirety of this pandemic, or for 1 year, I believe. It's one of those two. Now, what I can tell you is that she hasn't come out and said much of anything. So we don't know where she stands. But honestly, it doesn't really matter where she stands. It matters what Congress thinks, because even though President Biden is pushing for different pieces of legislation, it doesn't mean it's going to get passed. It still has to go through Congress, and Congress has more power than President Biden. Even though President Biden can, if Congress pushes the bills through, President Biden can be like, no, I vetoed this bill, I'm not going to sign it, and it goes right back to Congress. And they can override it, but chances are it's not going to happen. So we will see what happens there. But in addition to those $2,000 per month stimulus checks that progressives are pushing for, they also want to see a full expansion of Medicare. That's a big one. Bernie Sanders has been pushing for that for a couple of months now. We know they want to see additional unemployment until 2022, so extend it past September 6th all the way for the year 2021, and then we will address this in the new year. And there's other things as well. But like I always say, nothing is set until this bill is passed and signed into law. And as of right now, honestly, it's kind of just a wait and see what happens. It's a wait and see type of approach. So I know I'm getting tired of waiting. My guess is you are as well. But here's something else I said that we were going to have to wait on. And this has to do with unemployment benefits. Today, Florida's governor, he decided that he is going to cancel the unemployment benefits as well. And this is going to start on June 26th. So in about a month. In a month from now, month from 2 days from now, Florida and anybody on unemployment will lose their unemployment benefits. Will lose the $300 per week as a boost. And if you're on pandemic unemployment assistance or PUA, you will lose that as well. So this means that as of today, there's a total of roughly 4 million people that will lose all their unemployment benefits starting sometime in June. The soonest states will cancel unemployment benefits is actually June 12th. So that's a little over 2 weeks away. That is not good, because for a lot of people, this is their lifeline. So here's what we know. This, as of today, has Democratic lawmakers racing to try to figure out a way to provide for these people and to make states pay these benefits. What I can tell you, reports indicate that there's nothing Congress can do. There's nothing President Biden can do. The Biden administration, there is absolutely nothing that the federal government can do to make and require states to pay those benefits to their residents. There's nothing they can do. Now, in a way, there's something they can do. President Biden could step in and overrule some of these governors. But in order to do that, there's a lot to it, and it would actually be, according to reports, it would be detrimental to the Democratic Party. Nobody wants to be forced to do anything. Everybody wants to have their options open. So we'll see what happens, but as of right now, honestly, there's not a lot of hope for these 23 states to continue to pay this $300 per week in unemployment benefits as a boost, and just continue to pay the state benefits for people that are self-employed or long-term unemployed people. So we'll see what happens there. But again, as I know more, I promise I will share more. And the last thing that happened today, which is actually pretty substantial, is that Senator Elizabeth Warren, she proposed legislation that would provide the IRS with $31.5 billion in additional funding. If you remember, and I said this last week, President Biden was pushing for an additional $80 billion for the IRS. And the goal of this is to help increase staff at the IRS to go after tax cheats and tax the wealthy their fair share of taxes. That's the goal of this, the $80 billion. But according to the reports out just this afternoon, Senator Elizabeth Warren believes only $31.5 billion is needed. We don't need a full $80 billion at this time, because the reports indicate that if it is successful and the IRS goes and taxes these wealthier individuals and these tax cheats, then the IRS would actually be able to, kind of self-sustain it, their own, research and own staff. And by doing so, they're not going to have to rely on the government to give them even more money. So if they are successful, the $31.5 billion will be more than enough. So we'll see what happens there. What I can tell you right now, there's a lot of talks going on, not just on stimulus. The big talks today, especially on Twitter, on social media, even in the comment section on some other videos, has been that President Biden and the Biden administration have lied their way into office, have lied their way into as much power as they have at this point, and that right now many people say they will not vote Democrat ever again. So let me ask you, down in the comment section below, do you feel like President Biden has lied about what his plans were? Or do you feel like he just hasn't gotten to student loan forgiveness or the Social Security boost yet? Let me know down in the comment section below. Is he just taking his time, or did he flat out lie? Love to hear your answer. I know my opinion. You probably know that as well, but I'll answer that in a different video for you guys. But again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday afternoon and Monday evening. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.